So, Overlord was a popular show when it came out, and guess who finally caught up now that there is a dub? Hey everybody, what's going on? It's me, that guy from Team Niederdorf, bringing you my review of Overlord, non-spoilers. So, if you want to go in fresh, and as I said earlier, because there's a dub, I am caught up because the dub just came out on Election Day, and, you know, some good shit. And if you have the Funimation app, all the episodes are there. Granted, you might come into a few hiccups like I did, where you'd be watching an episode and it would say there was a dub version, then it'd start playing Japanese, or you'd like go back for a second, check what episode you're on, and then resume. Even though you chose English audio, it would play in Japanese, and you'd have to either load up the site, or if you on the site, use the app. I don't know. I had some troubles with it, but you know, that might just be a, post-day launch sort of deal. Moral of the story is, don't check what episode you're on if you're binge watching, I guess, and just sort of go, Because there was one particular story part around episode 10 where I think I zoned for a second just because, it happens sometimes, even if you're truly enthralled in something. We can all admit, we've zoned a little bit. I was like, okay, I missed something. I was like, okay. And then things made sense later because it was explained later. It just took me a while to connect the dots, but it may have been just because of how late I was watching it. So anyhow, the premise of the show, for those who don't know, is it's about this guy named Einzelgone, my bad. Einzelgone. And for those Team 4-Star fans out there, Chris Guerrero, otherwise known as Dr. Giro, is fucking Einzelgone. So, you just want to chuckle to yourself going, that's Dr. Giro. And, you know what? Chris Guerrero, to his credit, I guess he has the thing with characters that get stuck inside of machines because that's the premise of this show. It's the last name of Idrisil. And, he was saying goodbye to his buddies and, just playing because the servers were going to go offline at midnight. But about a minute or so before the servers go down, he closes his eyes for a second and sleeps for a few minutes. And 2-3 minutes past the server shutdown, he wakes up. And much like in SAO or .hack, I think. I haven't seen .hack, but I heard it's a lot like SAO. He is now stuck inside of this video game, but the thing is, he starts noticing, he can't bring up certain menus anymore. He now has a sense of taste, smell, and, feel that, wasn't programmed into the, for lack of a better term, full dive equipment. So he was left with all of his floor guardians, and they were like, you're one of the supreme ones, you didn't abandon us. And, as a little trolley thing, before the server shut down, he went over to one of his buddies' floor guardians and, was reading through her descriptions like, oh man, she's a bitch. And him and his guild that have ran this game, because this game's been on for 12 years, and, they're like all max level, super high level characters, those guys. They had an item in the game which allowed you to get admin privileges, so you could, change how things acted in the game. So before the servers went down, he went to Albedo, that's her name, and said, loves Momonga or Einzelgul, whatever the hell you want to call him, because he goes by both Momonga and Einzelgone. I keep wanting to say Al-Ghul. He gets stuck in there, and he has to sort of deal with, we seem to be in a different game because the Skyblock never looked this good. These things are actually talking. They understand commands that are normally outside of the game. They, worship him because he's like a supreme being. He's like one of the gods of this world, supposedly. I will give this story, because credit where credit is due. The character development and storytelling and even humor of it, because of the situation he was in, work. For those interested, the studio behind it was Studio Madhouse. So people who bought you Hellsing, the second I started seeing some of the art style, I'm like, that's Hellsing. And, Madhouse makes some good shows, and, Funimation dub. So he has the different floor guardians, and he's sort of trying to figure out what his new role in this new place is, because it's sort of like Idrisil, but not. So he goes out on the town and comes across a village where, he sort of wants to build his rep, because the old game, like, he was the player not to fuck with. Like, him and his guild do not fuck with. So, he comes across a village being terrorized by a group of knights and goblins and things. And, he saves people, and he's just trying to get his rep out. And then later throughout the series, for reasons that you'll find out, he changes his name to Momonga and takes on more of the role of a knight instead of a spellcaster or a necromancer. So he can, spread the legend of this guy. So when the time comes, him and his ultimate goal, he'll have enough followers and rep to succeed in what he wants to do. And despite the fact of the terrible situation he's in and the constant sort of like, I hope everyone's okay, I need to adjust to this thing, how do I possibly get back, even though he more just sort of accepted his role as ruler of this world. I mean, he was like level 100 when the game ended. So a good bulk of the series not only is him trying to build his name to what it once was, it was also to test how powerful he actually still is, and if he needs to improve in certain areas. And for a decent portion of the series, you're like, well, who the hell are they going to get to fight this dude? Because for a good portion, even his floor guardians were just way too powerful for a lot of things. And the show's really good at building tension even when there shouldn't be tension. Then all of a sudden he just flips the switch and goes, okay, this is how shit gets done. And the final episodes have this huge actual battle with someone who can actually go toe to toe with him. And I'm not going to spoil how that happens. And there's a whole bunch of, intricacies of him sending out his floor guardians, like information. A lot of the world building done here is well done, and I'm just terrible at remembering names, but each of the floor guardians are distinctly different and unique. And even though some didn't get, enough screen time, they still had enough to where you knew who they were, you knew how they stood, you cared about them. And overall, this is just a good show. And I'm not just saying that because I know some people in this dub, okay? I'm not just saying that. Because, I didn't even meet some of these people until after I heard the dub was announced. And it's just one of those things where it's nice to see people from the abridging community and that have a following on YouTube, or, just newer talent going into Funimation, being able to be bigger and bigger characters or help lead a show. Because granted, I don't follow Chris Guerrero all that much, but it's one of those things where I'm like, holy crap, just like Justin Briner, he was given a lead in a Funimation show that's pretty high profile. Like, Overlord didn't have a small following when it came out. I remember memes and shit being made left and right after that show came out, and the same could be said with My Hero Academia, which I'm not sure if I reviewed or not. If I didn't, I should probably get on that. If you haven't seen My Hero Academia, go watch it after you see Overlord. Because holy fuck, that broadcast up was amazing. Holy fuck. No, I didn't review My Hero, I just did impressions. Character development is great, the animation is great, the storytelling is great, the comedy that's there lands most of the time. Then again, humor is subjective, so what one person will like and not, and even if you're not too big of a fan of the video game thing, it's not really there all that much. And it's a nice story about someone thrown into a circumstance they weren't prepared for and them having to triumph over it. And of course, some hilarity ensues with the Floor Guardians, with especially him changing the code just before the server went out of Albedo, loves Momonga or loves Ainz. That was taken to an extreme because it was hard programmed in her to love him unconditionally, and Not gonna sugarcoat it. There's adult humor in this show because, adult stuff. And that's okay, because I like adult humor. It's funny when done correctly. No, even done slightly incorrectly. I know. I'm fucking looking forward to Shima Edit, and that is nothing but dirty jokes and whatnot. So, give you a line of where I fall on this, but it's not overly too much. There's a good amount of character building and action and some nice twist of how things go, and it's just funny to see what was once shown to you as a video game world turned into an actual world, in that series just leaves you wanting to see more, and that is like my only gripe with the show, is that it's only 13 episodes right now, and I don't know when season 2 comes out. But Madhouse takes their time, so they're not going to rush out a season 2 right away. Hell, it's one of those things like a Madhouse show hardly ever gets a season 2, but it's not unheard of. It's just rare. But they do perfectly set it up with, I was sort of scrolling through some of the wiki because I did forget some of the characters' names, because, as I said, I'm terrible with names. Is one of those things like, you see the character, you're like, oh yeah, that guy. And, only specific character names who's been said a lot, sort of stick in your head. Obviously, when you start watching things in the 5 or 6 in the morning, memory gets a little hazy. Not sure how that sounded, but, I just sound like I was having a mild breathing problem going. I don't know what happened. Anyhow, I've sort of just been saying the same things over and over again. Great story, great cast, great acting. Oh, Josh Greel is the writer for this show, and he's a very public gamer, very public anime watcher. You could sort of get some of that. There's some nice little sort of fourth wall-y jokes there. There's a voice actor joke somewhere thrown in there. There's another anime. There's actually a few anime references or gaming references that you're like, they somehow got away with that, but okay. And there's just like a lot of humor, especially when there's flashbacks. Like, especially in that voice actor joke. Oh man, that flashback was funny as shit. But anyhow, I'm not going to spoil any of that for you. Go watch the show, especially if you're a fan of like fantasy and world building and like, knights, necromancers, creatures, demons, undead, all that stuff. It's just really good, and it works, and it all ties together beautifully at the end, and wanting you to have more. So that being said, I'm gonna try to figure out how to cut this down when I edit it, and we're gonna break on 3, folks, when I come back with whatever I come back with. Maybe a Danganronpa review, even though I still said I would review this speaker, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. You know what? Here's my quick review. Buy it! Actually, just go for the HD version, which is around the same price for this was when it came out. This is a first generation Braven, people. Still works. I fucked over one of this side speaker and it still sounds great. I'll watch the show with it. There! I did it! Shameless plug for Braven, not sponsored by Funimation, but if you want to get the Funimation app, do it! Anyhow, we're going to break on 3, people, and I know I've said anyhow a lot, as in we're going to end this video soon, and I should probably be ending soon, and I know I said we're going to break on 3, but fuck it, we're going to break on 3. 1, 2, 3, break! See you next time. Son of a bitch, I rambled.